Imagine two people, same city, same starting salary, same education. 10 years later, one of them is financially free, the other is still counting days until payday. What happened? It wasn't luck, it wasn't connections, it wasn't even hard work, because both of them worked hard. The difference was something happening entirely inside their heads. Rich people don't just have more money, they think about money in a fundamentally different way. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us were never taught how. Meet Sarah. She's 27, works a decent job, and makes enough to live comfortably. But every single month, something strange happens. Money comes in, money goes out, and somehow there's never anything left. Sound familiar? Sarah isn't irresponsible. She's not buying yachts or throwing money away. She's just doing what most people do, treating money as something you earn and spend. That's the first trap. Most of us grew up watching the people around us do exactly this. You work, you get paid, you cover your needs, you maybe treat yourself, and then you wait for next month. This pattern feels normal, and that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. Because somewhere across town there's a person, let's call him James, who learned a completely different set of rules. James doesn't think about money the way Sarah does, and the gap between them isn't growing because of income, it's growing because of perspective. Here's the first hidden difference. Most people operate from what psychologists call a scarcity mindset. Deep down, they believe money is limited, that there's only so much of it, that if someone else wins, somehow they lose. This creates a very specific kind of anxiety around money. When you believe money is scarce, you make short-term decisions. You spend quickly because your brain doesn't trust that more will come. You avoid financial discomfort instead of facing it. You stay in your lane because risk feels like a threat to your survival. But wealthy thinkers, they've trained themselves to see money differently. They operate from an abundance mindset, not because they were born optimistic, but because they fundamentally changed the question they ask about money. Instead of, "Can I afford this?" they ask, "What will this cost me over time?" Those two questions lead to completely different lives. You've probably heard someone say, "Stop buying lattes and you'll get rich." That advice is mostly wrong, but not for the reason you think. The problem isn't the $5 coffee. The problem is the thinking pattern behind it. Rich thinkers don't avoid spending. They avoid unconscious spending. There's a massive difference between choosing to spend money and simply letting it leak out of your life. Psychologists call this financial intentionality, and it turns out the simple act of noticing where your money goes changes your relationship with it completely. Most people have a leaky bucket. They focus so hard on earning more, filling the bucket faster, that they never notice the quiet, constant draining. Subscriptions they forgot about, convenience purchases that add up, habits that cost more than they realize. Wealthy thinkers plug the holes first. Here's where it gets really interesting, and this is the insight that most people never hear. Rich people have a different relationship with time. Not hours in a day, something deeper. They think in decades. Most people think in months. There's a concept called delayed gratification, the ability to resist a reward today for a bigger reward later, and psychologists have studied this for decades. In one famous experiment, children were given a marshmallow. They could eat it now or wait 15 minutes and get two. The children who waited, they grew up to have better finances, better health, and better relationships on average. But here's what that study missed. Later researchers found something fascinating. Many kids who ate the marshmallow immediately didn't lack willpower. They lacked trust. They'd grown up in unstable environments where waiting didn't always pay off, where promises were broken, where tomorrow was uncertain, and this maps perfectly onto how people think about money. People who grew up around financial instability often have a deep unconscious belief: the future isn't safe. Take what you can now. It's not laziness, it's not stupidity. It's a survival strategy that made sense once, but is silently sabotaging them today. Now let's talk about the most practical difference in how wealthy people see objects. Most people look at a car and see transportation, a status symbol, freedom. A wealth-minded person looks at the same car and sees a liability, something that will cost them money every month in insurance, fuel, maintenance, and depreciation. This idea was made famous by an author named Robert Kiyosaki. He said something simple that changed how millions of people think. Rich people buy assets. Poor people buy liabilities they think are assets. Now, you don't need to be rich to start thinking this way. You just need to start asking one question before every major purchase. Will this put money into my life or take money out of my life? This doesn't mean you never enjoy life. It means you become aware of the trade-offs, and awareness over time quietly shifts your decisions you make. So here's the real answer to why rich people think differently. It's not that they were born with a special gene. It's not that they had some secret mentor whisper stock tips in their ear. It's that somewhere along the way, they replaced one set of mental defaults with another. They stopped seeing money as the goal and started seeing it as the tool. They stopped asking, how do I survive this month? And started asking, what does my financial life look like in 10 years if I keep doing what I'm doing? They stopped being reactive to money and became intentional. And the beautiful thing is, this is a learnable skill. The mindset isn't locked behind a trust fund or a business degree. It's built, thought by thought, decision by decision, over time. The question is simply, when do you start? Here's your one takeaway from today. Before your next purchase, big or small, pause for just 5 seconds and ask yourself, is this an asset or a liability? Am I choosing this or just reacting? That 5-second pause, that's where the mindset shift begins. If this video made you think differently about money, even just a little, hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find this content. And if you want to go deeper, our next video covers the psychological reason most people stay stuck at the same income level for years, and the surprisingly simple shift that breaks the pattern.